Hello and welcome to my November 2022 predicted paper. This is for AQA Foundation Paper 2. For the first question we need to find the multiple of 10. A multiple of 10 is a number in the 10 times table, so the only option here is 20, since 10 times 2 is 20. For the next question we need to find the value of the digit 3. So in this number, the digit 4 is in the units column, the digit 2 is in the tenths column, and the 3 is in the hundredths column. So since 3 is in the hundredths column, its value is 3 hundredths, which is the same as 3 over 100. For this question we need to find the shape that has one line of symmetry. Shape A has 2 lines of symmetry. Shape B, since it's an equilateral triangle, has 3 lines of symmetry. Shape C is a parallelogram, this has no lines of symmetry. And shape D has 1 line of symmetry, so that's the answer. For question 4 we need to find the value of 5 to the power 4. You could do 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 again, so 4 times, or you could use the power button on your calculator. You should get the answer 625. For question 5 we need to write these units in order, starting with the smallest. The smallest of these is millimeters, they're the tiny little lines you have on your ruler. Then it's centimeters, you'll also see these on your ruler. Then it goes up to meters. And finally the largest one, kilometers. For part B of this question we need to select a suitable unit for measuring each of these scenarios. So the first one is the amount of water in a bath. Since baths can hold quite a lot of water we'd need to use litres. And then the mass of a suitcase. So a suitcase of luggage is going to be quite heavy, so we'd use kilograms. In this question we need to work out how many red cars Tori has. Well, if you look at the key in the question, then one of these squares here represents 4 cars. So for red we've got one square, which is 4 cars, another square, that's 4 cars, and then half a square, so that's 2 cars. So 4 add 4 add 2 makes 10 red cars. For the next part of the question we're told she has 5 blue cars. So if we do 1 square, that's 4 blue cars, and then we need only 1 more, so we need a quarter of a square, so something like this. Now we know that there are 21 cars in total, 10 of those were red, and 5 of them were blue. So if we do 21, take away the 10 red, take away the 5 blue, we end up with 6. So there must be 6 yellow cars. So if we draw 1 square, that's 4, and then we need half a square because we need 2 more to make 6. And that's your completed pictogram. In this question there are 2 possibilities that you could go for, either one of them would be okay. So if you did 24 times 36, you get 864, and that's clearly lower than 1058. Or you could also do 26 times 34, which is 884. Again, either of those would be fine. For part B though, you need to write down the lowest possible answer. So the lowest one is 864. That came from 24 times 36. For the first part of this question, we need to write down the coordinates of A. So we'll start at A and go down to the x-axis. We read off the value 2, and then we go across to the y-axis and read off the value 1. So the coordinates are 2, 1. For the next part, we're going to plot point C, that's at 7, 4, so 7 on the x and 4 on the y, that goes here, and this is joined up to make a triangle, like this. We need to decide what type of triangle this is. Now these 2 sides here are the same length. This means our triangle has 2 sides of equal length, therefore it's isosceles. In this question, the first thing we need to notice is that we have a right angle here, so that's 90 degrees. You should know that the angles around a point all add up to 360 degrees. So we know 2 of the angles, that's 162 and 90, we just need to find the remaining one. So if we add 162 and 90, we get 252, and we can take this away from 360 to get x. So 360 take away 252 gives you 108. So x is 108 degrees. In this question we need to compare different lengths of parts of a circle. So for the first one we compare the radius and the diameter. So let's take a circle. The radius goes from the centre to the edge, and the diameter goes all the way across the circle, but going through the centre. So we have a radius here which is in blue, and a diameter here which is in green. The question said the radius is longer than the diameter. You can see clearly this is never true, the radius is always smaller. For the next part we need to compare the circumference and the diameter. Well, we've got the diameter from before, that's this green line here. The circumference is like the perimeter of the circle, it's the distance around the outside, so this red line here. This question said the circumference is longer than the diameter, and that's always going to be true. Finally, we need to compare a chord with a radius. So we have the radius from before, this blue line that goes from the centre to the edge, and now we need to consider what a chord is. A chord is any line that goes across the circle from one side to the other. It doesn't have to go through the centre though. So this is a chord, and that chord is longer than the radius. But this is also a chord, and this chord is shorter than the radius. So this statement is sometimes true. In this question, we're trying to find Toby's mistake, so let's add the fractions. To add these, I need to get a common denominator. The lowest common multiple of 5 and 8 is 40, so let's rewrite both of these fractions over 40. For the first one, 1/5, I need to write this over 40, so I need to multiply the denominator 5 by 8, since 5 times 8 is 40. If I multiply the denominator by 8, I need to multiply the numerator by 8 as well, so 1 times 8 is 8. For the second fraction here, my denominator goes from 8 to 40, so it's been multiplied by 5. So multiply the 3 on top by 5, 3 times 5 is 15. Now this is the correct working out, but if you look at Toby's working out, he only has 5 on the top. So the mistake that Toby has made is 5 over 40 is not equivalent to 3/8. It should instead be 15 over 40. In this question, we need to find the value of m squared when m is -9. When you square a number, you times it by itself, so -9 times -9. When you multiply a negative by a negative, you get a positive, so the answer to this is positive 81. Now you need to be very careful if you use your calculator to do this question. Some people may type this in, -9 squared, which would actually give you the value -81, and this is wrong. Your calculator will always do the correct order of operations, so your calculator would square first and then multiply by this negative. This doesn't mean the calculator is wrong, it's just done what it's been told to do. If you ever need to square a negative number in a calculator, you should put it in brackets like this, and this will indeed give you positive 81, which is correct. In this question, we need to work out Jill's energy bill. We'll start by looking at the daily charge. The daily charge can be found here in the table. This is the amount you have to pay every day, irrespective of how much energy you use. So every day you need to pay 14p for electricity and 8p for gas. So we'll start with the 14p for electricity. We're told in the question that each of the months has 31 days, and Jill's bill is for 3 months. So if we do 3, that's the number of months, times 31, that's the number of days, we find out how many days there are, and if it's 14p for each of those days, we times that by 14p, and we'll get the total daily charge for electricity. So that's 1,302 pence, and that's the electricity contribution. Now we need to do the same thing for gas. Gas costs 8p for the daily charge, so we'll do the 3 months times 31 days, but times 8p this time, and that gives you 744 pence for gas. Now we've done the daily charge, we need to work out the cost per unit charges. The cost per unit can be found in the table here. This means for every single unit of electricity you use, you'll need to pay 34 pence. For every unit of gas you use, you'll need to pay 10.3 pence. The table below that shows the amount of energy that Jill used. So the electricity is 350, 360 and 320. If we add all of this up, we'll find out the total number of units that Jill used. So that comes out at 1,030 units, that's for electricity. So if Jill uses 1,030 units, and it costs 34 pence for each of those units, we need to do 1,030 times 34 pence. This gives you 35,020 pence. We'll now do the same idea but for gas. So if we add up all of the units of gas that Jill used, we add up these numbers, which gets you 2,270 units, and that's for gas, and we'll multiply this by the cost of each of those units of gas, that's 10.3 pence, so 2,270 times 10.3 gives you 23,381 pence. So we've now worked out all of the charges in pence. Let's add them together. We had the 1,302 and 744 from the daily charge, and we also had the 35,020 and 23,381 from the cost per unit. If you add all of these up, you get 60,447 pence. Now we need to convert our answer to pounds, so we just divide this by 100, and you get £604.47 pence. In this question, we've got Fiona, whose hourly pay is £9.50, but she's going to get a 4% pay increase. So if you have a 4% pay increase, I'd start by saying we have 100% plus 4% since it's increased by 4, which gets you 104%. If you divide this by 100, you get 1.04, which is a multiplier. If we multiply this by her pay, so £9.50 times 1.04, we've increased it by 4%. If you type this into your calculator, you'll get 9.88, so her new pay with the increase is £9.88. For this question, we need to work out the probability of selecting a yellow counter. If you look in the table, we've got the probability for red and blue already, so if we do 0.6 plus 0.1, we get 0.7. All of the probabilities in this table must add to make 1, so if we do 1 take away the 0.7, we find out there's 0.3 left. Now we're told in the question the probability of selecting yellow is the same as the probability of selecting a green. So we've got 0.3 left, and it needs to be the same for yellow and green, so we half 0.3. 0.3 divided by 2 is 0.15, and that's your answer to the question. In this question, we need to work out which machine produces cans at a faster rate. So if we look at the first machine, it produces 825 cans in 22 minutes. So if we do 825 divided by 22, we'll find out it produces 37.5 cans per minute. The second machine is 1719 in 45 minutes, so if we do 1719 divided 45, we get 38.2 cans per minute. So the second machine is producing more cans per minute, therefore it's working at a faster rate, so the answer is machine B. In this question, Alvin has 5 times as many followers as Simon. So if we wrote the ratio of the followers for Alvin to Simon, it would be 5 to 1, since Alvin has 5 times as many. Now we need to write a similar ratio for Simon and Theodore. It says Theodore has 1/3 of the followers of Simon. This means that Simon actually has more followers, 3 times as many. So if we wrote the ratio for Simon and Theodore, it would be 3 to 1. Now notice that Simon is in both of these ratios, but the numbers are different. In the first ratio it's 1, and in the second ratio it's 3. If we rewrite one of the ratios so they both match, we've nearly finished the question. So I'm going to rewrite the first ratio so that Simon has 3. To do this, I multiply both sides of the ratio by 3. 5 times 3 is 15, and 1 times 3 is 3. Now that Simon has 3 in both of these ratios, we can see the answer. Alvin is 15, Simon is 3, and Theodore is 1. For this question, we need to work out how long Mariana spends at the park. You can see she arrives at the park here, that's 11 AM, and she leaves the park here, that's 11:30 AM. So she spends 30 minutes at the park. Now we need to complete the graph. We're told Mariana spends 90 minutes at her friend's house. So we need to draw a line that goes horizontal for 90 minutes like this. We're then told that she returns home, travelling at a constant speed, and she arrives at 2:30 PM. This means we need to do a straight line down to the bottom of the graph at 2:30 PM, so like this. For this question, we need to find the lowest possible value of x plus y. I'm going to look at this first inequality here, which is all of the numbers between 12 and 20. However, I have a less than or equal to on the 12, which means I include 12, but I have a less than on the 20, so I don't include 20. So I start at 12, and I've got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, but not 20. For this inequality, it goes from 5 to 9, but it doesn't include 5 or the 9 because it doesn't say less than or equal to. So I'm going to start at 6, so 6, 7, 8, and not 9. Now I need to find the lowest possible value of x plus y. The lowest possible value of x was 12, and the lowest possible value of y was 6, so do 12 add 6, which gets you 18. In this question, we're told that 2x equals 3a plus b, and we need to find an expression that's equal to 6x. To get from 2x to 6x, you multiply by 3, so we just need 3 lots of 3a plus b. 3 lots of 3a is 9a, and 3 lots of b is 3b. So 6x is equal to 9a plus 3b, so the answer is 9a plus 3b. For the next part, we're also going to start with 2x equals 3a plus b, but this time we want 2x plus a. To get from 2x to 2x plus a, you just add a. So we're going to add a to 3a plus b. 3a plus b add a is 4a plus b. So the answer is 4a plus b. For this question, we need to work out how many students selected other. To do this, we're going to work out the angle represented by other in the pie chart. Bus is a right angle, so that's 90 degrees. So if we add up all of the angles we have so far, we've got 90 degrees, add 110 degrees, add 140 degrees, which is 340 degrees. Since the whole pie chart must add up to 360 degrees, we can take this from 360, which leaves us with 20 degrees. So the part for other must be 20 degrees. Now we need to work out how many students there were in other. So if we write the fraction of students in the pie chart, which is other, that's 20 out of a total 360, and then in the question we're told there are 450 students. So this is the fraction of the pie chart we need, so it's also the fraction of the students we need. So we multiply this by 450, and we get the answer, 25 students. In this question I'm finding the length of BC. This is a Pythagoras question, so I'll label the length I'm finding A. The other short side, which is AB, is B, and the longest side from A to C is going to be C. Now Pythagoras' theorem says that a squared plus b squared is c squared, so I'll write this out again but substitute in any values I know. So a squared plus 9 squared is 12 squared. Now you can rearrange this to give a squared equals 12 squared take away 9 squared, and then you can work those out. 12 squared is 144 and 9 squared is 81. And 144 take away 81 gives you 63. Now to find a, we just do the square root of 63, which comes out as this. And we'd round this to a suitable degree of accuracy, probably 1 or 2 decimal places. I'd go for 7.94. For this question, we need to use a calculator. We need to type in a fraction, so I'll start with the fraction button. You can find that here. Then on the top we have 3.2. And this is raised to the power 4. Now there isn't a button for power 4, so we'll press this button here, which gives us a power, and type in 4. Now to go to the bottom, we press the down arrow, and now we're at the bottom of the fraction. We need square root 54, and then I want this 3 to be outside of the square root, so I press the right button, and then press -3, and that's it. So I just press equals, and this is the number. So I'll write down the full calculator display as I was asked, 24.11368,104. In this question we need to work out the surface area of a cube. I'm going to start by working out the area of one of the faces. The area of this is just 8 times 8, which is 64 centimeters squared, and a cube has 6 faces, and they're all the same, so I can just multiply this by 6, which gets me 384 centimeters squared, which is the answer to the question. For this question, I need to work out which cuboid has the greater volume. Looking at cuboid A, I notice the units are mixed. I have 2.1 meters, but then the other two are 70 centimeters, so I need to convert them so they're the same. Let's go for centimeters. So 2.1 meters is the same as 210 centimeters. You can just multiply by 100 since there are 100 centimeters in a meter. Now I can find the volume. For a cuboid, you just multiply all 3 of the lengths, so we've got 210 times 70 times 70, which gives you 1,029,000 centimeters cubed. For cuboid B, they're all in centimeters already, so I'll just multiply all of those, and it gets me 1,012,500 centimeters cubed. We were asked which one has a greater volume. The volume for A was greater, so the answer is A. In this question, we need to find a number where the highest common factor of that number and 20 is equal to 5. If this is true, then 5 must be a factor, so the number must be in the 5 times table. We're also told that the number must be greater than 30, so we're after numbers that are greater than 30 that are in the 5 times table. The first one to try is 35. So let's imagine he thought of 35, in which case the highest common factor of 20 and 35 needs to be 5. Let's try it. So the factors of 20 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10 and 20, and the factors of 35 are 1, 5, 7 and 35. The highest one in both lists here is 5, so the highest common factor of 20 and 35 is 5. So 35 could have been one of those numbers. Now let's try the next number in the 5 times table. Let's try highest common factor of 20 and 40. The factors of 20 and the factors of 40, and you can see here the highest common factor of 20 and 40 is actually 20, not 5. So 40 couldn't have been one of those numbers. Let's try the next number in the 5 times table. Let's try 45. So the factors of 20 and 45, are as follows, and the highest common factor here you can see is 5. So 45 would be a possible answer. You could have any number here as long as it's in the 5 times table and ends in 5. So it could be 55, 65, 75, and so on. In this question, we're told the cube root of c is between 8 and 9. If you do 8 cubed, you get 512. If you do 9 cubed, you get 729. This means the cube root of 512 is equal to 8, and the cube root of 729 is equal to 9. We want the cube root of our number to be in between 8 and 9, so the number must be between 512 and 729. For example, the cube root of 550 gives you 8.1932 and so on, which is in between 8 and 9. Now we're also told a second fact. The cube root of 2c is between 11 and 12. So if we take our number, we've gone for 550, that's our c value. 2c is twice this, so 2 times 550, 1100. Now what happens if you cube root this? Well, the cube root of this number is 10.322 and so on, which unfortunately isn't between 11 and 12. So we need to pick a different number. Remember, our original number for c is between 512 and 729. We went for 550, and that works for one of the conditions, but not the other one. So let's go for a bigger number, perhaps 700. If c is 700, 2c is 2 times that, which is 1400. And the cube root of this gives you 11.18 and so on, which is in between 11 and 12. So 700 would be an acceptable answer. In fact, you could have any number as long as it's between 666 and 728, and that includes 666 and includes 728. In this question, we're told that 1,250 tickets were sold during this week. So let's add up the tickets we can already see. Monday was 300, Tuesday was 300, Wednesday was 250, and Thursday was 150. In total, this makes 1,000 tickets. If the total is 1,250, we can subtract 1,000 from this to find out that Friday had 250 tickets. We're also told that the tickets were only sold to adults and seniors on a Friday, so we don't need to worry about the children, and 44% of the Friday tickets were sold to adults. So 44%, if we do 44 divided by 100, we get 0.44, that's the multiplier for 44%. So if we multiply this by the number of tickets on a Friday, which is 250, you find out that there are 110 adult tickets. So we can draw the bar for adults up to 110, and that's a shaded in bar according to our key, and the remaining tickets were all sold to seniors, and we know there were 250 total, so we extend this bar up to 250 and use the dotted pattern for seniors. In this question, we need to show that 12x plus 4 equals 52. Since this shape is a rectangle, the top is the same as the bottom. So we can write 4x plus 5 on the bottom, and the one on the right is the same as the one on the left, so 2x minus 3. We're told in the question the perimeter of the shape is 52. So if we add up all of the lengths it needs to make 52. So let's start with 4x plus 5, add 2x minus 3, add the other 4x plus 5, add the other 2x minus 3. This is the total perimeter, and remember we were told in the question that's 52, so this equals 52. We can now simplify. If you collect all of the terms in x, 4x add 2x add 4x add 2x gets you 12x, and then 5 take away 3, add 5, take away 3, gives you plus 4, and this equals 52. So we've shown that 12x plus 4 equals 52. For the second part of this question, we just need to solve the equation. So we have the equation. Take away 4 from both sides. If you take away 4 from the left, you get 12x, and if you take away 4 from the right, you get 48. Now divide both sides by 12. 12x divided by 12 is x, and 48 divided by 12 is 4. So x equals 4. For this question, we need to find the value of m, and we're told what u and p are. So we're going to write out the formula again, but change u for 3.2 times 10 to the 4, and change p for 2.7 times 10 to the 3. So it starts with m equals u, which we know is 3.2 times 10 to the 4, plus 2p, so 2 times 2.7 times 10 to the power 3. You can now just type all of this into your calculator, and you'll get the answer 37,400. For part B of this question, we need to rearrange it to make p the subject. So we've got m equals u plus 2p. On the side with p, I can see we've got a u and a 2. I'm going to deal with the u first, so we subtract u from both sides. If you subtract u from the left, you get m take away u, and if you subtract it on the right, you're just left with 2p. You can now divide both sides by 2. On the left, that's m take away u divided by 2, and on the right, 2p divided by 2 is p. So you end up with the formula p equals m take away u over 2. In the first part of this question, we need to explain what the intercept means. You can see the intercept over here at 30. When the temperature is 30, the time is at 0. So this is the temperature at the start of the experiment. So we could say that this represents the temperature at the start. For the second part, we're told that this graph is t equals 10m plus 30, and we're asked about the graph for a metal, which is t equals 20m plus 20. To compare these, I'm going to draw the second graph as well. So let's start with m equals 0. If I substitute m equals 0 into the formula, I get t equals 20 lots of 0 plus 20. Well, 20 lots of 0 is 0, so this is just 20. What if m was 1? Then we'd have t equals 20 lots of 1 plus 20, which is 40. And then if m is 2, t would be 20 lots of 2 plus 20, which is 60. If we plot these points, for this one, when m is 0, t is 20, when m is 1, t is 40, and when m is 2, t is 60. These form a straight line like this. So this new line represents the graph for the metal. You can see the metal has a steeper graph, so the temperature is increasing more quickly. So the answer to the question is the metal heats at a faster rate because the graph is steeper. You could also use the word gradient to represent the steepness of the graph, so you could say it has a higher gradient. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. There are some grade boundaries here which are similar to those ones from the summer. Check out the video that I think you should watch next and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.